They mentioned they were too exhausted from the long drive. Elena, your mom's back has been bothering her. We'll be cheering from home, sweetie. That's what Dad said when I called to confirm the number of seats. Then Mom chimed in, attempting to sound apologetic, saying it's been a tough month. Mom said, your father's overwhelmed with reports, and I have 3 listings going live this weekend. We're just completely worn out. It was the day before graduation, and I was under the scorching Virginia sun practicing the walk from the tunnel to the podium, my gown clinging to my legs. The dean handed me a small card with my name printed in gold. Valedictorian, it read. You'll be sitting here, she instructed, pointing to a metal folding chair at center stage, adding that I had requested 3 seats in the family section. I nodded, confirming 3, even though I already knew what to expect. When practice concluded, I ducked under the bleachers to check my phone. A text from Mom arrived during rehearsal. We're just too tired to make the trip, sweetheart. You understand, right? We're so proud of you. Enjoy your moment. We'll watch the stream. I stared at the screen, not angry or surprised, and then foolishly opened Instagram. Savannah had posted a story 20 minutes earlier, holding a mimosa, with Mom next to her in a plush white robe, their feet soaking in rose petal water, smiles wide in matching spa slippers. The location tag read, The Willow Spa, Georgetown. I scrolled to the next clip, a boomerang of them clinking glasses captioned, Sometimes self-care is skipping the noise. Then I saw a comment from Mom. Best day with my beautiful girl. I didn't comment, text, or cry. I closed the app and walked back to my dorm, sitting at my desk, staring at the final draft of my valedictorian speech, filled with gratitude and hope, a safe language for a university newsletter. I deleted it and opened a blank page, which remained blank for a while because I didn't know what I wanted to say. I just knew I couldn't say what I had before. It wasn't just about the spa day. It was about everything leading up to it. Always. Returning to my 16th birthday, the kind you don't forget, except I nearly had until I saw Savannah's photos years later. That year, I asked for dinner at the Italian place downtown. Nothing fancy, just the 4 of us for pasta and dessert. Mom said they were too busy, so much happening at work. We'd celebrate at home. And we did. At home, I received a wrapped box on the kitchen counter, a leather-bound planner with a note saying, for the future you're building. It was practical and thoughtful. I said, thank you, even smiled for the photo, then helped Mom clean the dishes. A few months later, Savannah turned 19, and suddenly the backyard was strung with lights, a private chef arrived with silver trays, and a custom cake shaped like a Chanel purse sat beside a full karaoke setup. I watched her twirl in the new dress Mom had picked out, laughter echoing under the string lights. Dad held the camera like it was a red carpet event, capturing every smile and pose. I stood at the sliding door watching her twirl while Dad snapped nonstop. Mom clapped and shouted, "Look at our little star!" They never called me that, not once. When I gently asked about it later, Mom said, "Oh, honey, you've never liked parties. You're our serious one, our focused one." As if that explained everything, as if that excused never asking what I actually wanted. Maybe they were right. I was the serious one. I read before bed, not fashion magazines. I preferred quiet bookstores over brunch spots. Maybe I didn't sparkle the way Savannah did, but that didn't mean I didn't want to be seen. So I worked harder in school, on essays, on perfect grades. If I couldn't be the daughter they clapped for, maybe I could be the one they quoted at dinner parties. But they never did. And now, on the brink of the biggest moment of my life, they were too tired, too busy, too drained. But not too tired for facials and champagne. Back at my desk, I wrote 5 words across the top of the page. This is not a thank you. And then I kept going. 3 weeks before graduation, I received the email with the subject line, Valedictorian Announcement. Confirmed. I sat in a quiet corner of the campus cafe, blinking at the screen. For a moment, the noise faded. It was real. I was top of the class. 4 years of extra credit, office hours skipped, spring breaks spent proofreading essays for the department while Savannah was taking yacht selfies in Santorini. Now, this. I called Mom, hands still shaking. She picked up on the 3rd ring. I heard the background hum of HGTV. She sounded distracted. "Mom, I have some news." "Oh, hey, sweetie, hang on. These cabinets are hideous," she laughed. Okay, what's going on? I swallowed. I got it. Valedictorian. There was a beat of silence. That's nice, sweetie. So that means you're like, what? Highest grades? I nodded, even though she couldn't see. Yes, I'll be giving the speech. Right, that's great. Well, you always were our little bookworm. Just like that, she pivoted. Did I tell you Savannah's stylist might be doing a shoot in Miami? It could be big for her. I didn't interrupt. I let her finish her story about Savannah's connections, who she was meeting, what she might wear. When I mentioned the graduation date and said I'd be mailing formal invitations, Mom chuckled. Oh, honey, don't go fancy with us. Just send a text. But I didn't want to text. I wanted something they couldn't swipe past. So I went to the little stationery shop near campus and bought thick ivory paper with hand-cut decal edges. I wrote out their names in gold ink using the calligraphy I had taught myself as a child. No typos, no smudges. Inside, it would mean the world to me if you were there that weekend. I drove the 3 hours home, waiting until after dinner. Savannah finished her long story about brunch with someone important, and Dad opened his second bottle of wine. I placed the envelopes on the table, one by one. Dad raised an eyebrow. You drove all this way just for these? Mom opened hers. Oh, sweetie, she said. You used the gold pen with the curly E's. Savannah glanced at it, then went back to her phone. I stayed to clear the dishes. No one asked what I'd speak about. No one asked what it had taken to get there. The night before graduation, I couldn't sleep. Too much adrenaline, too much silence. I practiced the speech 3 times, ironed my gown, laid out my shoes. Everything was ready. Everything but me. At 2:03 a.m., I gave up and reached for my phone, hoping for a congratulatory text from a classmate or something light from Jessie to calm my nerves. Instead, I saw Savannah's Instagram story. There she was again, lying back in a white spa chair with cucumber slices over her eyes, a champagne flute in hand. Mom sat beside her, grinning under a hydrating gold face mask. Their robes read, "The Willows Spa VIP Suite." I tapped for the next clip. They were sipping wine and giggling. The caption floated above them, "Self-care before summer chaos." Another tap brought a photo of Savannah smiling with her head on Mom's shoulder. "Best day with my star girl," Mom had written in the comments. No mention of me, no pride in my achievements, just spa steam and curated joy. I sat frozen in the dark, phone still glowing in my hand. I hadn't said anything when they bailed. I hadn't said anything when they shrugged off the invitation. But this was the part that cracked something open. My fingers trembled as I opened our message thread. "Saw your stories. Thought Mom and Dad were too tired to travel." Savannah replied 10 minutes later, "Don't be sensitive. This was planned weeks ago. You'll be fine." 3 sentences. That was the total of their explanation. I turned the phone face down, then face up again, then back down. My eyes landed on the folder beside my laptop, the speech I'd reworked, filled with careful truths coded in safe language. I opened it and deleted the title. This wasn't going to be the version where I thanked them just because I was supposed to. This wasn't going to be the version where I acted like they were there because they weren't. They were too tired for me, but not too tired for wine and wellness and matching spa robes. I started a new document, typing the words I'd wanted to say for years. I rewrote the speech before sunrise, not out of anger, not even spite, but because the version I had before didn't fit anymore. It was polite, polished, like a Christmas card addressed to people who'd never read it. This time, I wasn't writing for them. I was writing for the girl who celebrated every small win alone, for the student who turned down weekend trips to meet deadlines, for the young woman who stopped asking for attention and started building without it. The new speech didn't start with, "Thank you to my family." It began with, "To those who kept showing up even when no one clapped for them, this is for you." I printed it on plain paper, folded it once, and slipped it into my folder next to the old version, just in case I lost my nerve. By 7:15 a.m., I was dressed and ready. Outside my dorm, Jessie was waiting with 2 coffees and a wrinkled paper bag. "Muffin emergency," she said, handing me the one without blueberries, remembering I hated them. Tom pulled up a few minutes later with a sunflower bouquet poking out of the passenger window. He didn't say much, just gave me a nod and grinned. He didn't need words to show he was proud. We arrived early at the ceremony venue. The sun was already sharp, with folding chairs laid out in neat rows on the field. Signs were taped to the front. 3 reserved, Carter family, still untouched. I didn't look too long, just enough to see people arriving in clusters. Dads in pressed shirts, moms holding cameras, friends waving wildly from the aisle. There was a soft chaos in the air, excited and expectant. Jessie squeezed my hand. Once before heading to her seat, a volunteer guided me behind the stage. I clutched the folder tighter, feeling the corners dig into my palm. The dean was mic'd up and smiling, ready. She asked, and I nodded. Not the kind of nod given out of politeness, but the kind given when there's nothing left to lose. When they called my name, applause began. But I didn't really hear it because I was already focused on the mic, the camera, the words I was about to say, words they'd never expected, words they would never forget. The applause still echoed as I stepped up to the podium, adjusting the mic with steady hands. The paper didn't shake. I looked out, not at the sea of students in caps, not at the stage crew, not even at the president behind me. I looked at those 3 empty chairs, then straight into the live stream camera and began, "To those who worked hard to be seen, this is for you." My voice sounded calm, firmer than I expected. It carried not just across the field, but through the feed into phones, living rooms, wherever someone might be listening. To the professors who stayed after hours, who reminded us that questions weren't weakness. To the friends who knew when to knock and when to just sit quietly beside us, thank you. Soft smiles in the crowd, nods, real connection. And to those who believed in showing up even when it was inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unfashionable. I didn't flinch at the word. Some of us didn't have confetti waiting for us at home. Some of us weren't born into applause. The crowd shifted, subtle but unmistakable. People knew what I was saying, even if I never said names. Graduation is about achievement, but it's also about being witnessed because there's a difference between making it and being seen. Making it, I could feel the camera holding on my face. Good. I requested 3 seats in the family section. They're still available. Silence. Someone coughed near the aisle, and it echoed louder than it should have. If you've ever sat in a room and wondered whether your success counted because no one clapped, let me be the first to say it does. It always has. Jessie's eyes brimmed. I saw Tom give a low whistle through a smile. Some of us grew up learning that love had conditions, that pride had terms, but you don't have to wait for someone else's permission to feel proud. Another pause. So if today you walked across this stage for yourself because no one else pushed you, no one else praised you, then I see you. We made it, and we made it honestly. I folded the paper and stepped back from the mic. Applause broke, slowly, then surged louder than I expected. But I wasn't listening for that because somewhere behind a screen, they were hearing it too. And this time, they didn't get to interrupt. They didn't get to smile and spin it. They just had to sit and let it land. I opened the drawer, didn't change out of my gown, didn't turn on the lights, just sat down, pulled the drawer open, and reached behind the stack of pens and receipts. The envelope was still there, slightly bent. No return address, just my name, Elena, in my dad's handwriting. The way he looped the E had never changed. He'd given it to me 3 years ago after we got pancakes to celebrate my university. Acceptance. He slid it across the table like it was no big deal. Just something I wanted you to have, he'd said. I'd read it once, folded it neatly, and tucked it away. Tonight, it felt different. I unfolded the paper carefully, as if the words might slip off the page. Elena, you always carry more than you let on. I see it. I hope you never forget that. Your quiet strength is still strength. You've earned everything coming to you no matter where you go. Don't let anyone make you small to feel seen. You already are. Love, Dad. That was it. No long speech, no instructions, just a note from a father who, at some point, had seen me, really seen me, before the dinners I wasn't invited to, before Savannah's spa weekends became family. Events, before I started shrinking myself just to keep the peace. I held the letter like something fragile, like it might turn to dust if I breathed too hard. It had never been read aloud at a family dinner, never been framed in the hallway, no one had ever asked to see it again, but it existed. My phone buzzed on the desk, a message from Mom. We watched the stream. Your speech was, well, unexpected but powerful. Call us when you get a moment, okay? Another from Savannah. Congrats, valedictorian. I didn't know you were feeling all that. Don't be so dramatic next time. I didn't reply. Didn't open. Instagram. The next morning, when Savannah posted another photo of herself in a robe again, captioned, "True peace is choosing who deserves your energy," Mom commented underneath, "You are our sunshine." I didn't like it, didn't share it, didn't respond because I had something they never posted, didn't remember, didn't value enough to hold on to. But I did. And sometimes the things they don't frame are the ones you carry with you. Longest. 3 weeks later, I moved to DC. The internship offer had come in a month before graduation, copywriting for a digital magazine focused on women-led ventures. I said yes without hesitation. It felt like a clean slate. My apartment was tiny, with creaky floors and a window that caught exactly 15 minutes of morning sun, but it was mine. No framed quotes on the wall, no family portraits, just quiet space to figure out what I wanted to write and who I was when no one was grading me. I didn't call my parents. Not out of spite, but because I didn't feel the pull to anymore. That thread had loosened. Savannah texted once, just one message the night before I left for DC. I kept thinking about that speech. You were brave. I stared at it for a long time. There was no sorry, no, I should have come, but it also wasn't laced with sarcasm or condescension, just honest, uneasy, maybe curious. 2 weeks into the new job, she messaged again. Want to grab lunch? I'll be in the city. We met at Union Market, neutral territory. No talk about mom or dad, no explanations. She didn't bring up the spa day. I didn't bring up the empty chairs. Instead, we talked about the food, about how weird it felt to be adults, suddenly comparing rent prices and commute times. It was the first time in years we shared a meal without our parents' opinions hovering over us. When we said goodbye, she didn't hug me, but she looked like she wanted to. That night, I walked home past a flower stand and bought myself a small bouquet, yellow tulips and baby's breath. Nothing fancy, just something bright for my desk. I set up the self-timer on my phone and took a photo, sitting at the kitchen table, smiling, the flowers in my hand. I posted it on my new account. Not my family's Facebook page, just my space. Mine alone. The caption read, "It took 22 years, but I finally took a photo that didn't need to be approved." No one was tagged. No one commented. So proud of our girl. And I didn't need them to. That picture wasn't for them. It was for the version of me who used to wait by the phone, the girl who used to scroll, wondering what she did wrong this time. She didn't wonder. She just smiled because sometimes healing isn't loud. It doesn't come with applause or an apology. As I settled into my new life in DC, I found myself exploring the city, soaking in its energy and opportunities. The internship was everything I had hoped for, dynamic, challenging, and filled with bright, ambitious women who inspired me every day. I started to carve out my own path, learning to voice my thoughts and ideas in meetings, contributing to projects that aligned with my passions. Each day felt like a step toward becoming the person I had always wanted to be. Someone who was seen and heard. With every article I wrote, I felt more confident. I connected with colleagues who shared my values and ambitions, and we formed a supportive network. We celebrated each other's wins and navigated the challenges together. It was a stark contrast to the silence I had often felt at home. As the weeks turned into months, I made it a point to prioritize my well-being. I started to explore local coffee shops, quaint bookstores, and parks where I could read and write in peace. I found a community of friends who appreciated my interests, who didn't just see me as the serious one, but as someone with creativity and depth. I occasionally FaceTimed Savannah, and while our conversations were still surface level, I could sense a shift. She seemed more open, and I shared snippets of my life in DC, my projects, the places I visited, and the people I met. I could feel her curiosity growing, though we still tiptoed around our past. One evening, as I was about to head out to a local art exhibit with friends, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Mom. "We were just talking about you. We're coming to visit next month. Can't wait to see how you've settled in." My heart raced. I hadn't seen them since graduation, and while part of me was excited, another part felt anxious. Would they see the changes in me? Would they understand the journey I had taken? I took a deep breath and replied, "That sounds great. I'd love to show you around." As the visit approached, I prepared myself. I wanted them to see the new me, not just the girl who had graduated, but the woman who was starting to define her own identity. I planned outings, from the bustling farmers market to art galleries and even a casual dinner at my favorite Italian place. When they finally arrived, I greeted them with a smile that masked my nerves. They looked around, taking in the small yet cozy apartment that was now my sanctuary. I could see the surprise in their eyes as they noticed the framed prints of my own writing on the walls, the books stacked high on shelves, and the little touches that made the space feel like mine. Throughout their visit, I made an effort to open up. I shared my experiences at work, my thoughts on the city, and the friendships I was cultivating. Mom listened intently, and Dad chimed in with supportive comments. I watched as they absorbed my words, their expressions shifting from surprise to pride. One evening, as we sat around the dining table, I decided to take a leap. "Can we talk about the graduation?" I started, my heart racing as I felt the weight of my words. "I know you both had your reasons for not coming, but it meant a lot to me. And I just want you to understand how it felt to stand there without you." Silence hung in the air, and I could see the realization wash over their faces. Mom reached for my hand. "We should have been there, Elena. We're sorry. We thought we were doing the right thing, but we see now how it impacted you." Dad nodded in agreement. "We didn't recognize how important that moment was for you. We missed it, and we regret that." In that moment, I felt a sense of relief. It was the validation I had longed for, the acknowledgement that my feelings mattered. We talked for hours, sharing our perspectives and realizing how much we had all grown, even in the silence that had once defined our family dynamic. By the end of their visit, I felt a renewed connection with my parents. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start, a bridge built over the gaps that had once seemed insurmountable. As they prepared to leave, I hugged them tightly. "Thank you for coming," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I'm really glad we could talk." As I watched them drive away, I felt a sense of closure. I'd started to carve out my own identity, and while the past would always be a part of me, it no longer defined my future. I was ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that I had the strength to face it head-on, with or without applause. And in that moment, I realized that healing isn't about making amends or gaining approval. It's about finding peace within myself and understanding that my journey is valid, worthy, and deserving of celebration, just as I am.